A man who gave the world Titanic, who changed cinema with Avatar, who redefined science fiction with The Terminator. But what if I told you, before he was a record-breaking director, he was a truck driver working night shifts, spending his free time reading books about filmmaking? What if I told you that before he made Titanic, he nearly drowned while filming underwater? And what if I told you that before The Terminator became a Hollywood masterpiece, he was sleeping in his car, fighting just to get his vision made? This is the untold story of James Cameron, the man who never backed down, the man who proved Hollywood wrong again and again, and the man who changed movies forever. James Francis Cameron was born on August 16, 1954, in a small Canadian town called Kapuskasing. He wasn't surrounded by Hollywood or film studios. He was surrounded by forests, books, and his own imagination. From a young age, James was obsessed with science fiction. He would spend hours drawing spaceships, designing futuristic worlds, and building models. His mother, Shirley, was an artist. His father, Philip, was an electrical engineer. And James? He was a dreamer, fascinated by both art and technology, something that would later define his entire career. Then, at age 14, something happened that changed his life forever. In 1968, young James walked into a theater and watched 2001, A Space Odyssey, a movie unlike anything the world had seen before. It wasn't just a movie, it was a vision of the future. James sat there, mesmerized, and thought, I want to do that. I want to make movies that take people to another world. But there was just one problem. He lived in a tiny Canadian town with no connection to Hollywood. So, for years, filmmaking remained a dream. In 1971, James' family moved to California. Now, he was closer to Hollywood. But instead of going straight into film, he did something unexpected. He enrolled in Fullerton College to study physics. He thought, if I can't make movies, maybe I'll become a scientist. But deep down, that wasn't his destiny. So, in 1974, James did something crazy. He dropped out of college, picked up a job as a truck driver, and spent his nights teaching himself filmmaking. While most people learned film in school, Cameron learned it by reading books, experimenting with cameras, and breaking apart projectors just to understand how they worked. It was self-education at its finest. But no one in Hollywood cared. Until 1977. That was the year Star Wars hit theaters. And when James saw it, he had an epiphany. If George Lucas could create an entire galaxy from nothing, then so could he. So, he quit his trucking job, walked into a small film production office, and offered to do any job, even if it meant just painting miniature spaceships for science fiction movies. And that's how James Cameron got his first Hollywood gig, not as a director, but as a special effects artist for low-budget films. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't Spielberg-level success. But it was his foot in the door. In 1980, Cameron got his first real directing job, a low-budget horror film called Piranha 2, The Spawning. It was a disaster. The producers hated his work. He was fired before the movie was even finished. Most directors would quit after that humiliation. But James Cameron? He didn't give up. Instead, something strange happened. One night, while sick with a fever, he had a terrifying nightmare. A metal skeleton crawling out of fire, hunting him down with glowing red eyes. That nightmare became the script for The Terminator. But Hollywood laughed at him. Who would fund a science fiction movie by an unknown, fired director? Only one person believed in him, Gale and Hurd, a young producer, who agreed to buy the script, but only if Cameron directed it. So, with just $6.4 million, he made The Terminator, one of the greatest science fiction films of all time. It hit theaters in 1984, and overnight, Cameron became a legend. But he wasn't just going to make The Terminator. He was going to take over Hollywood. Cameron's next challenge? Directing Aliens, 1986, the sequel to Ridley Scott's horror masterpiece. Everyone doubted him. How can you make a sequel to a classic? But Cameron didn't just make a sequel. He made a film so intense, so groundbreaking, that it won 2 Oscars and redefined the science fiction genre. Then came The Abyss, 1989, a film shot almost entirely underwater. Then Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991. a $100 million science fiction epic that introduced photorealistic CGI and the T-1000, changing visual effects forever. Then came True Lies, 1994, and finally, the film that nearly destroyed him. Cameron had a new obsession, the Titanic. And he didn't just want to make a movie. He wanted to dive to the wreckage himself. Titanic, 1997, became the most expensive movie ever made, costing $200 million. Studios begged him to cut costs. He refused. When it finally hit theaters, it became the biggest movie in history, winning 11 Oscars and making $2.2 billion. James Cameron was officially the king of the world. After Titanic, Cameron vanished from Hollywood for a decade. But he wasn't gone. He was creating something bigger. In 2009, he returned with Avatar, a film that took 15 years to develop. It shattered every record, making $2.9 billion and proving Cameron was still the greatest visionary of our time. But here's the craziest part. While directing movies, Cameron was also a real-life explorer. In 2012, he became the first person to dive solo to the deepest point on Earth, the Mariana Trench. From science fiction genius to deep-sea explorer, James Cameron isn't just a filmmaker. He's a pioneer. And he's not done yet. Even now, Cameron is still pushing limits. He's working on multiple Avatar sequels. He's exploring the deep ocean. And he's still proving that nothing is impossible. Cameron has been married 5 times, including to the Terminator producer Gale and Hurd and Titanic actress Susie Amos. He is notorious for his perfectionism, often pushing actors and crews to their limits. His obsession with technology led him to build entirely new cameras, just for Avatar. And today, James Cameron's net worth is estimated at $800 million. He owns private submarines. He funds deep-sea expeditions. He still pushes the limits of storytelling and science. From a truck driver to a billionaire filmmaker, from a dreamer to a legend, James Cameron doesn't just make movies. He creates new worlds. If you found this story inspiring, smash that like button and subscribe for more legendary life stories. Which filmmaker should we cover next? Drop a name in the comments.